Hi, welcome. Today is kind of a special topic because I would like to talk to you about being an old soul in a modern world. It can feel challenging and also lonely. And as I was searching for content about this topic, I realized that there isn't that much to be found. And I'm specifically talking about things that aren't part of our modern world anymore, or things that are disappearing. And I know that there must be so many old souls like me thinking the same things, struggling with the same things. But before I start, I do want to emphasize that I am not romanticizing the past. I'm extremely grateful and happy that I live in these modern times. And if you would ask me, would you like to have lived in the Victorian era, I would 100% say no, I would not. And this is because we have so many things to be grateful for, things that we take for granted, like hygiene and knowledge, medical care. There are so many things about our modern life, our houses, the luxury, everything that we have today, Victorians didn't have. Just something as simple as light or flushing a toilet. We have come to see these things as normal, but when you think about bringing a Victorian into this time period, they would, first of all, they would be shocked, of course, but they wouldn't want to go back, right? So now that we got that out of the way, not wanting to live in the Victorian era or before doesn't mean that I am grieving for certain habits and certain things that we have lost. So let me start by giving you examples of what I miss in our modern society and what I try to bring into my life to live a happier life. And these are also things that I really need, because otherwise I would feel lost. I'll be looking down at my notes once in a while because I don't want to forget mentioning anything. First of all, I have art. I have never been able to appreciate modern art. I do appreciate old art, classical art. I love classical music and I love old literature. It's not that I'm trying to like them, it's just the way it is. I love old art. Secondly, I love old rituals like journaling and writing. I don't mean just writing as an author, but also letter writing. I think there is something extremely personal about receiving a letter. And I don't know if you can remember the last time you have received a handwritten letter, but it feels amazing. Someone sat down and took the time to write you a letter. It is so different from an email or a text message because it only takes a few seconds to send a message to someone, 5 minutes to send an email, and writing a letter is just, it's something else. Number 3 are antiques. I love old things and I feel that they were made to last. What I find secondhand, and that's how I do almost all of my shopping for my interior, I buy so much secondhand, and I mainly find things secondhand or online because I cannot find anything in the stores that resonates with me. I want an object to speak to my soul. I want it to spark, I don't know, a story. It sounds very silly, but like I love all of the objects in my house, and I don't want them to break after a year and have to replace them, And I feel like things that were made before were of such better quality. Also, everything was made so beautifully. The designs were so elegant, and now we just get squares with no details, with no curls. We just get easily made furniture and decoration. To give you an example, I have these teacups and plates, And they are pieces from my grandparents and from relatives and so on. And we don't own a dishwasher. We do everything by hand because nothing that we have in this house can go into a dishwasher because it will break. And it's funny when I say to people, we don't have a dishwasher. And their reaction is always like, you don't have a dishwasher? My goodness. And then I go like, yeah, it only takes 20 minutes every night to do our dishes. 20 minutes. Yes, no dishwasher. But it actually feels, maybe I'm weird, but it feels good to take care of the cups and plates and glasses that I own. Next is classic literature. There weren't as many books, and books were studied, reflected on. Parts of those books and poetry was memorized. And I feel like today's world encourages skimming and endless novelty, surface-leveled engagement. And I don't resonate with that. I love taking things more slowly, and I also had to learn that. And I talk about this a lot on my channel. But yes, the way of interacting with books is so different. My next point is clothing. I am amazed by how much impact the clothes that I wear have on me. And I love dressing up. I dress up every day. I don't have any pants, and I love wearing dresses and corsets and nightgowns. I have hats and gloves, and I love the Victorian fashion. And when you compare it to today's fashion, I cringe. I hate how no one seems to put any effort anymore in dressing up. And it makes me so happy to see someone nicely dressed. It does something to me. But yes, it's clothes have such an impact on yourself, on how you feel, on how you behave, and on other people as well. The next one is stillness. I think reflection and patience are important. And I think that a lot of us have lost this. There is this constant noise, which leads me to the next point, which is technology. I feel very torn about this topic because yes, it makes our lives so much easier. There are some great advantages to technology, but it's also such a burden because it feels like too much. It feels like we are not allowed a moment of peace anymore. I don't want to be available all the time. The good thing, of course, about technology is that we can find a community, we can find people we relate to, we can find inspiration. There are so many beautiful things about technology, and one of the things I really appreciate is to be able to talk to you about the things that I'm passionate about. So of course, I love this YouTube channel and this technology. But, when I talk about my hate for technology, I'm mainly talking about the overload and how it feels too much. And then my final point, manners, politeness. I often don't feel connected to how people talk and behave. I spend a lot of time on public transport and seeing every day how people behave and talk often makes me sad, disappointed, angry. Things like holding the door open, keeping your voice down, not playing TikTok videos on full volume, watching where you walk, letting someone pass, letting an older person take your seat, and so on. So, why does modern life feel like this for me? Everything is so fast. Social media, entertainment, even reading. And does it bring fulfillment? That is the question. I want to share a quote by the way, by Mortimer Adler, and he said, in the case of good books, the point is not to see how many of them you can get through, but rather how many can get through you. And I think this applies, or this can apply to anything. So we have texting instead of letter writing. We have streaming instead of collecting. We have ebooks instead of physical books. We are losing architecture, art, even handwriting, and things that were crafted with passion and the aim to be beautiful and also functional has been replaced by sterility. Functionality. Functionality is all that matters. And it doesn't need to be beautiful anymore. Beauty has become irrelevant. It has become optional. Something just has to be functional and low cost. And then, of course, there is the endless content, the endless scrolling. Everyone is so impatient. Our attention spans are absolutely ruined. Nothing ever goes fast enough. When we order something online, we usually have it the next day. When we text someone, that person gets the text immediately. When we want coffee, we just press a button and in 10 seconds, we have a coffee. And still, things are not going fast enough and we are impatient. And then, of course, there's the endless consumption. Buying things that we don't need, but that society makes us think that we need. And I know that these things are breaking us because there are so many people struggling with burnout and depression. Something feels terribly wrong. But I feel like this is what we get when we trade depth for speed and beauty for functionality. And worst of all, presence for performance. And we don't even have the time to feel what we have lost. Because life is going way too fast for us to take a moment to just reflect. So let's talk a moment about what I do in my daily life to find happiness, fulfillment, to make myself feel better about this. First of all, I surround myself with beauty. And you know, Oscar Wilde said famously in The Picture of Dorian Gray that all art is quite useless. And it's the useless things that make life beautiful. I cannot change the world around me, but I can change the environment that I live in. I can change my personal space. And I love it when people walk into my house and they can see immediately who I am. They will see paintings and busts and books and my piano and my plants and my curly wallpaper and my mirrors and my oil lamps and candles, and they will immediately know that this is the house of an old soul. Secondly, I protect my solitude. I must be honest, I love staying at home. And because of this, I really made sure that this place is a place that I feel 100% happy in. And perhaps that's the reason why I don't like to go out, because I feel so good inside my own house. But, you know, I just avoid going out to events and gatherings that would drain me. My time alone is so important. And someone recently asked me the question, well, how do you protect your solitude when you have obligations, you know, to your partner or to your kids? But I think it's a good thing to have at least a little bit of time every day to reflect and to be by yourself, because it's just healthy. And these are things that you can discuss with the one you love, with your kids. And it doesn't have to be hours. It can be just half an hour or an hour, and it can do you so much good. Something else I do is I practice slow living. I try to appreciate, for example, making tea. I smell the tea. I drink it while maybe walking around the house, thinking, journaling. I try to do everything with intention, and I try to be grateful for the things that we often take for granted, like flushing the toilet, for example. Next is I try to find like-minded people. And my YouTube channel is perfect for this because I have met so many wonderful people. We have such an amazing community in the Discord server. These are all people who are fond of literature and books, and quite often also old things. And I'm extremely, extremely grateful for this online community. And of course, I also have a few people in my daily life who think kind of the same as I do. And this helps a lot. You don't need 10 friends. One friend or two friends is already such a big deal. And it's more than enough to have one friend. Next, I romanticize my life. And I know a lot of people are like very much against it. But this is something that you have to decide for yourself. This works for me. I love lighting my candles and I love wearing my nightgowns because it makes me feel like part of a movie or something. I love my physical books. I love handwriting. I am actually very obsessed with handwriting, and I have something weird with other people's handwriting. Like, I really love seeing their handwriting because it's such a personal thing. And even though I cannot read their writing, it's something so beautiful. Next, I do not consume content mindlessly. I think it's insane how much information that we process every day. I don't know if we're made for this. And I want to quote something from the introduction of A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. And it says, "People will come to love their oppression, to adore the technologies that undo their capacities to think." What Huxley feared was that there would be no reason to ban a book, for there would be no one who wanted to read one. He feared those who would give us so much that we would be reduced to passivity and egoism. This quote just gives me goosebumps. Yes. So I do not consume mindlessly. When I watch YouTube videos, for example, I save them to watch later. And I have two categories. I have content that I want to consume when I have the energy to really pay attention, like lectures or information or things that you want to learn about. I make sure that I save that content when I am awake, when I feel like I have the energy to take notes. And then I have content that I would play while I clean or, while I am doing something else. I never sit down and just watch the screen. I do not scroll on social media. I do not scroll on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I just put my content on there and then I'm gone. Because I feel I have so much to do, so many things that I love doing in my life that I just don't want to waste a minute on something that I don't like, because I don't like scrolling. I don't. So it's not really temptation for me, which makes things easier, of course. My next point is overconsumption. I do not overconsume. I am a bad consumer. Like I said, many of the things in my house are secondhand. I never go shopping because I simply cannot find anything that appeals to me in the stores today. And I do feel I'm a maximalist because I love, decorating. I love putting out my candles and my oil lamps and my books and my plants. And I'm not a minimalist because I don't like emptiness. But on the topic of clutter and stuff, I am 100% a minimalist, because when you look inside my closets, a lot of them will be empty. I only keep things that just make me really happy and that I am the proud owner of. So I don't keep objects or decoration that I won't use or that won't make me happy. And I see people waste so much money on stuff they don't need. And of course, it's their money. They can do whatever they want with their money. But I don't know if many of them think about how it gets you caught in a system where you have to work more and more and more to buy the things that you think make you happy or that you want. And life is more than work. I just, society wants you to spend as much money as you can, because you have to work harder and you have to work more, and then you get to spend more. This is our entire system, right? Everything you see in your house has cost you money, and you have worked for that money to earn it. So the logical thing is, the more you spend, the more you'll have to work. And you just have to decide if it's worth it. Is it worth it for you to work so many hours to buy those things? That's something you have to decide for yourself. But anyway, I believe that when you have less stuff, you have less stress, and you will have more energy. My next point is also a very personal one, and I know many people will not agree with me on this, and that's fine. I have never cared about working 9 to 5. I hate the idea of spending an entire day at work, then come home by 6 or 7, have dinner, sit in front of the TV, go to bed, and repeat everything the next day. That sounds horrible to me, absolutely horrible. And I've always said, I do not want that life, and I still do not want it. And what I do instead is I'm lucky that I made the good choice in my life, and I have my own business part-time, so I work as a massage therapist, and at the moment I also work in a lawyer's office half-time. So I have 2 half-time jobs, but that means I only work half-time for someone who pays me, and I work half-time for myself, and I can choose how many hours I do every day. I can choose how many clients I have, and working for myself half the time leaves me so much more free time than people who work a full-time job. So I feel like I feel really lucky that I made that choice in my life of working partly for myself. And the way people think is, I go to work, that's my main thing, and then I may or may not have something I like doing here and there, like playing the piano. For me, it's the other way around. I have my passions. I have music, being an author, having this channel, reading. I have so many things I'm passionate about, and these things come first for me. And I cannot think of these things as a hobby, because they feel so much more. When I discuss this topic with people of like work-life balance, there are like 90% of people I talk to don't have anything and any activities or anything they're passionate about after work, because they say they are drained. They don't have the energy to do anything at night except for watch a little TV and go to bed. I don't want that for myself. I never wanted this. I want to have energy at night to do the things I love. Next is to learn new skills or forgotten skills. It is never too late to learn an instrument. You could work on improving your handwriting. You could pick up a new activity anytime, and it's never too late. Next is I dare to be alone with my thoughts. I think about things very deeply. I write about them. And writing about things that you care about, or questions that you have, or topics that you have discussed with someone, I feel like when you start writing about things, that you discover what you truly think about something. The interesting things are coming to the surface. And if you've never tried it, please do, because it changes everything. It's magical what paper and pen can do. Next is I spend as little time as possible with technology. Like I said, I don't really feel the urge to spend time on social media. I don't like it, so that makes things easier. But I do know that there are a lot of people who struggle with this addiction. I think we can call it an addiction, because I feel like a lot of people have lost the ability to do nothing. When I look around on public transport, I see how many people cannot do nothing. The phone is always in their hands, and when they get on the train, they sit down, and the first thing that someone does is grab their phone. And I want to give you a quote of Seneca. He says, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stinging." If there's one thing that we will never get back, it is time. And it's the most precious thing that there is, that we have. And I think we have to spend our time in a way that makes us the happiest. And I personally don't think that it is being online on social media. I don't really think it's what's going to make you happy. And of course, you can do something to pass your time, but you can also kill your time. And I think, yes, killing your time isn't a good thing. I would just say, try to use technology to inspire you, to help you. And if you do feel like you're spending too much time online and you feel like you're killing your time instead of passing it, then I think you should try and work on this. And the final thing I want to say is, I am myself. I am being myself, and I'm proud of the person that I have become. And I have to give a lot of credit to books, to literature, because books have really changed who I am for the better. They made me a better and more reflective person. Perhaps it's a bit of a sad thing that we want to fit in, but we also long to stand out. I know I stand out a lot because I always dressed differently, I always decorated differently, and I have a style, I'll say a style that most people have not. And I do not fit in, which is why I ended up making this video. I am an old soul living in the 21st century, and I know there are so many of you who must feel the same way about the topics that I discussed. I hope you feel heard and understood, and I want to thank you so much for spending time with me. Please let me know in the comments how you feel about this, about modern life and the loss of old things. And of course, I hope you stick around, and then we can meet next week.